Flashback this morning to some words of wisdom. It was a little more rainy in the first service than it is right now. But they said, do not let the weather determine the worth of rain. A couple of announcements
first. The first announcement.
First, it should appear up there.
Yep, as if by magic. There you go. Okay. The local Palestinian communities and organizations have asked St. Andrews to host a showing of 7 very short films about life in Palestine before the recent devastations. The Social Justice Committee is presenting, that's on Saturday, this coming Saturday, May the 4th. The doors open at 4, the film shows starting at 4:30. Will take about an hour for all 7 of the films to get done. And then the director will be available afterwards for questions and whatever. We hope you'll come, meet more of the people in the community from Palestine. And we're serving coffee and tea and sweets, so feel free to bring cookies. Thank you very much.
And there are flyers that look like that slide out there on the table if you want to look at them or take one with you. We're passing clipboards around today so you can sign up to bring refreshments and help set up and clean up the refreshment area on Sundays. We've been doing this monthly, been working pretty well, I'm told. So when you see that clipboard coming your way, sign up to bring something if you're able. Keep passing them until they reach the back rows, if you will, and we can fill those up. There's also a stack of multicolored, this one happens to be green, but there's a stack of flyers in this shape that are talking about a celebration of life for a few musicians who recently died of cancer, and it's a benefit for the American Cancer Society. It takes place on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, and so check that out. If you're interested, you can pick up a card with all the details out on the table. The announcement flyer, you should have been handed on your way in. If you weren't, grab one on the way out. Has more good things. You can cut it out, put it on your fridge, things like that. Let's begin our service.
Welcome everyone here this morning. Glad to see that you are not just fair weather friends. That you're willing to come out when the weather's not quite so fair, maybe. Want to welcome our folks on Zoom and YouTube. And as you know, the camera's back there, so all they're seeing is the backs of your heads, unless you kind of turn around a little bit.
And for those of you on YouTube, if you haven't, we appreciate if you would like and subscribe. It's the only thing you can subscribe to that doesn't cost anything. You'll see the turquoise friendship tablet on your row. I invite you to fill that out. And I say every once in a while to folks that if you've moved since you joined St. Andrews, you might put your address down because we may still have your original address in our files. So you might just add that to it. We're glad everyone's here. We hope that you will feel the welcome that we seek to extend to anyone and everyone who joins us. And thank you for coming out today.
All you who are thirsty, come. Come where the Spirit stirs the waters to reveal the place where you stand as holy ground. Bring here your God story, the stories of those you touch, to place them within the universal divine story. Come to receive and be nourished, to speak and to listen, to share and to reflect. Come to hear today's prophets speak a vision for a better world. Come to renew your faith, your hope, your efforts for a world of peace, not war, of harmony, not division, of meaning, not power, a world held within the arms of divine compassion.
Please rise as you're able.
I want to welcome you to our time for the children. If the young and young at heart want to come forward for our puppet show, if you see groceries in the aisle, you might collect those and bring those up also. We need lots of them.
with all my dear, dear friends.
I know what you mean, Hortense. Jack used to be my friend, but he just couldn't meet my needs.
Oh, Mr. Monkey, what on earth do you mean?
Mr. Monkey's mad at me for not meeting his needs.
But Mr. Monkey, how did Jack not meet your needs?
All I asked him to do was to climb a tree with me and hang by his tail, and he wouldn't do it.
Oh, but wait a minute, Mr. Monkey. Rabbits don't have the kind of tail that can hang from a tree.
Not at all.
I would do that for him.
Mr. Monkey, Jack loves you, but he can't hang by his tail because he's a rabbit. We have to love each other for who we really are. Life gets pretty lonely when you expect others to do things that they can't.
Yeah, well, that reminds me of the time I asked you to thumb wrestle with me and you wouldn't do it.
Well, that's just the point, little buddy. Horses don't have thumbs. So no matter how much Hortense wanted to make you happy, that's not something she could do. She could take you for a ride, she could jump over a fence, but she can't thumb wrestle.
Yes. What if I ask you to walk a mile in my shoes?
Well, I would do that.
Yeah, but horses' shoes are nailed on.
Oops.
Young people, sometimes we disappoint others because they want us to do something we just can't. It is so important to remember that we are worthy of love even when someone is mad at us.
Well, thanks for that, Hortense, because, I love my little buddy, but I shouldn't feel bad about myself because I am a rabbit and I can't hang from my tail. Well, so thanks for that, Hortense. Could we sing a song, maybe?
Well, let's vote first. Do you think do you think Jack is okay? I mean, not hanging by his tail and everything.
That's it. Your books are getting chewed, buddy.
Oh, okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank y'all for being here. Do I have any of my drummers here today? This is the song where we're like on a train, and if you'll help make it sound like a train. And it's where everybody's so busy on the train, they don't help anybody. Very good. Down around the corner, half a mile from here, see the long train run and watch it disappear without love. Where would you be now? Without love. I saw Miss Lucy down around the tracks. Lost her home and family, now she won't be coming back without love. Where would you be now? Without love. Without love. Without love. Where would you be? Very good. Good train. Good train.
I part out the thrusting branches and come in beneath the blessed and the blessing trees. Though I am silent, there is singing around me. Though I am dark, there is vision around me. Though I am heavy, there is light around me.
Divine love of grace and compassion, you are everywhere when we take moments to feel your presence. We lift our hands and hearts to touch and bless as we are held and carried in this our holy place. This place where we can rest and feel secure in the love and the grace that surrounds us, and where we are accepted just as we are. And we are thankful for this glorious spring and our coming together and joining our hearts as we hold our own joys and challenges that may be deep within. And in these moments, we breathe love for those in need of our blessing, both within our community and beyond. And we are sad to announce the death of Bob Bowes, who died on Thursday at the age of 89. Bob and Darlene were married 66 years, and they had recently moved to Georgetown for senior living. Bob was a very active member of our church for a very long time. He almost served, I think, on every team possible throughout his years. We hold Darlene and their children in our hearts as they mourn his death. A service will be scheduled in the near future. And yesterday, services were held for Virgil Roy, who died in March. This last week was his 99th birthday. And we hold Virgil's family in our prayers. And we remember all who struggle for peace and compassion, those affected by war, those at our border fighting for freedom and humane treatment. We pray for peace and an end to death, famine, and tragedies. We pray healing prayers for Jan and Marty, Brian, others anticipating test results, families in turmoil, families grieving, caregivers needing rest. And we continue to celebrate the awe and wonder of our galaxy that brought us all together earlier this month with the total eclipse and this beautiful spring that we are experiencing. We are thankful for the rain this morning, and there are no words for the overwhelming majesty that has graced our planet this spring. Our prayer is from Wendell Berry. Sowing the seed. My hand is one with the earth. Wanting the seed to grow, my mind is one with the light. Hoeing the crop, my hands are one with the rain. Having cared for the plants, my mind is one with the air. Hungry and trusting, my mind is one with the earth. Eating the fruit, my body is one with the earth. Amen.
Our first passage is from Deuteronomy. Honor the Sabbath day and keep it holy, as the Holy One your God commanded. For 6 days you will labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Holy One your God. You will do no work that day, neither you, nor your daughter, nor your son, nor your workers, women or men, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your animals, nor even foreigners among you. Thus, your workers, both women and men, will rest as you do. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and that the Holy One your God brought you out from there with a mighty hand and outstretched arm. Because of this, the Holy One your God has commanded you to keep the Sabbath day.
That doesn't seem to be what I have in my paper here. Okay. Sorry. And from the book of John. Early in the morning on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary of Magdala came to the tomb. She saw that the stone had been rolled away from the entrance. So she ran off to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one Jesus loved, and told them, "The Rabbi has been taken from the tomb. We don't know where they have put Jesus." Meanwhile, Mary stood weeping beside the tomb. Even as she wept, she stooped to peer inside, and she saw 2 angels in dazzling robes. One was seated at the head and the other at the foot of the place where Jesus' body had lain. They asked her, "Why are you weeping?" She answered them, "Because they have taken away my rabbi, and I don't know where they put the body." No sooner had she said this than she turned around and caught sight of Jesus standing there, but she didn't know it was Jesus. He asked her, "Why are you weeping? For whom are you looking?" She supposed it was the gardener, so she said, "Please, if you're the one who carried Jesus away, tell me where you've laid the body, and I will take it away." Jesus said to her, "Mary!" She turned to him and said, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus then said, "Don't hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to God. Rather, go to the sisters and brothers and tell them, I'm ascending to my parent and to your parent, my God and your God." Mary of Magdala went to the disciples. "I have seen the teacher," she announced. Then she reported what the Savior had said to her. Ancient words for our present day consideration.
Well, thank you for braving the storms and being here. It's good to not have an empty room that I'm talking to. John, is it going to be possible to go back and look at an earlier slide? Could we go first to the Deuteronomy and then go to the next one? We're going through and looking at what I believe are parts of the original faith that fell out along the way. You know the story that when Christianity began, it was very rich and interactive. It wove in with things like the goddess religion that the later church decided they didn't want that to be a part of the story, but it is a part of the story. It's right there. If you go back, you can look at it. So we're going through and we're walking through the divine name, the Shema, some of the classic kind of cornerstones, and don't feel bad if none of that sounds familiar, because you've already missed those sermons, so you're fine. But today we're going to look at the Sabbath a little differently than possibly you've heard before. We looked at the Sabbath earlier as a human rights document. If you look at it, you know, when preachers talk about honoring the Sabbath, they talk about coming to church, and I'm not against that. But if you'll look at the verse, there's nothing about church in here. There's nothing about religion. It's about social justice, right? It's about not misusing workers. If you look at this, it goes, honor the Sabbath, keep it holy. For 6 days you will labor, you'll do your work. On the seventh day, you'll do no work that day. And it lists everyone else. And it basically lists out everybody so nobody gets left behind. The gender stuff is spelled out, the class stuff, whether you're freed or enslaved. Everybody gets a day where they can just be a human being and not be a beast of burden. But what's funny is you see the vision is very limited at this point. It goes, you'll do no work, your men nor women, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your animals, nor even foreigners among you. That just kind of shows you where it's like, you know, it was easier to make the case with the donkey than it was with somebody. And a lot of the government in Texas feels the same way about border issues. But you see there an idea of universal humanity that has never fully been recognized in Christianity. There's always been scapegoats people go after. But if you look at basically the calling, it's your whole human family. All of it, no scapegoats whatsoever. But that's hard to do, and you get tired, you get frustrated, you look at the world, you want social justice, but it doesn't look like there's any way that's going to happen sometimes. You look at it and you just kind of despair. Today we're looking at a mystical Sabbath. You have the traditional Sabbath that was there. But in the resurrection stories, they're going to try to reframe who you think you are. Let's look at the next verse. In these passages, what's going to happen happens the day after the Sabbath. The Sabbath was the seventh day. And in the literature, they talk about the eighth day, which is something that happens within you. It's almost like a musical place inside of you. I believe the resurrection stories were actually stories about awakening, about enlightenment, that kind of thing. Because if you look at the stories, they contradict themselves. Right? The people that were in the cave, the people that got there first, they didn't try to make it consistent, which tells you that was not the point. The point was that something historically happened. The point is something happened within the disciples where they stepped out of ordinary time. And they felt connections that were deeper and broader than what was happening to them physically. In this story, it talks about on the first day of the week, when you see that, consider it an invitation to go into your intuition, into your imagination, and to picture yourself as so much more than what happens to you, than what other people think of you, than your success. Because throughout most of history, the better you are, the less likely it is that you will be successful in any kind of sense of nobility. So to not blame yourself if you can't make the world turn around on a dime at this really hard time. I want to read just a couple of quotes that I think will help from the early church. I never asked you to take my word for it. You've known me too long. And again, it's very important in the story, the Christian story, clergy are the problem 90% of the time. And the reason it's not that we're evil, it's that when it's your job, you have a tendency to rationalize, right? And when you go to seminary, there's these enticements to feel like you've got special privilege and stuff. None of that is a part of the Christian message. So tolerate us, please. Be nice to us. Don't make fun of us or push us down. But this is something you discover within yourself. This is not something that a clergy person can give you. But listen to these words. This is from a book called Barnabas, the Gospel of Barnabas. It says, I will make a beginning on the 8th day. That is a beginning of another world. For that reason, we also keep the 8th day with joyfulness, the day on which Jesus rose from the dead. Then it says, Justin Martyr said that the 8th day possessed a certain mysterious significance, which the 7th day did not. Cyprian wrote that the Jewish practice of circumcision on the 8th day was a kind of foreshadowing that there's a part of you that can't be defined by life, by what happens to you. There's a part of you that's mysterious. And this idea of the Sabbath is stopping to make time to remember that. Because you can get swept along. You have so many tasks, so many things you have to do, where you lose that part of yourself that's your connection with the sacred, with the mystery. So what I want to do is walk through and have kind of 3 ideas of what I'm calling enlightenment. If that makes you uncomfortable, you can use a different word. But I want to go through and see a kind of awakening that takes place, first of all, with the idea of time. The Sabbath was something where you would set aside a certain day. The people lived in the desert. There weren't a whole lot of markers in their world, so time became very important. You can get so lost in time that you feel you're being swept along. And that's a very bad feeling when you're sitting there and the people you love and you care about are just dropping like flies. The older you get, you read the obituaries and you can come to feel that more of you is alive in the past than in the present. If you're young, you kind of have the opposite problem where you don't feel like you're established yet. It's so frustrating. You have no credibility with the culture, and yet you have all these aspirations inside of you. Sabbath simply means to stop in motion, to remember who you are. Paul Tillich called it the eternal now. A lot of times when we talk about eternity, we talk about something that's supposed to happen in the future. We talk about after we die, what's going to happen to us, the second coming of Christ. All of that stuff is figurative and mythological. Why do I say that? Because if we're talking about the sacred is everywhere. Right? In theological terms, if Jesus is God, Jesus is already here, so the second coming can't happen in that physical sense. Right? Because the sacred can't be somewhere else. But we need mythological things to find our inner wisdom a lot of times. A lot of times we have to go on a journey to discover where we are and who we are. In our story, the disciples think they're going to a funeral. They think that the last person that will be there is Jesus. They get there and they have Mary has the experience of someone who reminds her of Jesus. But it doesn't look like Jesus. It looks like the gardener. Now that's a really interesting image. When you think about the Garden of Eden, all of the atonement theories where God's supposed to be mad and you make these sacrifices, and then instead, it's when you remember who you are, you're back in the garden again. The treasure is not someplace else. You don't have to wait for the universe to change before the gift can be given you. It's already inside you in the thing. When you love and lose, and it will happen, the secret is to go deeper into the love so that you identify less with the form that was there and more with this kind of dance that you shared with somebody. Because that's the river of life. And that's what doesn't have beginning and end. Everything that has shape and form will pass. But there's something that's been happening for a long, long time, and it sure looks to me like it deserves the word eternal. You can decide that. But there's a cosmic process that goes way, way back. When you look up at the stars, it's like you're looking at these incredible, disparate times. Some of them are, not that old, but some of them are very, very old. And you're looking at across light years and light years, hundreds of light years, at stars that may not even be there anymore. So time is very strange. And what love does is tell you that love never dies. When you go inside, you lose a lot of things, but that connection you have with the other person is right there inside you. So the first awakening is that you can step outside of time in the sense of when you really become aware of something. Even a flower. You see a flower and you let it overwhelm you. That's the 8th day. You're stepping out of time. If you've ever had something beautiful make time stop for you, that's what the story is talking about. And it's not something that's reserved for mystics, certainly not clergy. It's something that's always there waiting for you when you become still. The second, I think, awakening is in space. We might call that infinite here, the infinite here. And that's the idea that you don't have to find the special place. That wherever you are is a sampler platter of the whole universe. If you think of it, you look out at a star, for all you know, somebody on that circulating around that star is looking at us and wishing they knew what was over here. It's the same elements all over the place. So that sense of frustration that there's somewhere else you need to get to discover the secret of life is a mistake. Whenever you stop, you're back in the garden again. Wherever it is you are, because you remember your ties to life, to nature. When Christianity cut ties with the goddess, it cut ties to nature and became a real problem. So a lot of this is just getting back to what it used to be. The sacred mountain is inside of you. The burning bush is inside of you. Jerusalem is inside of you. Returning to your own center gives you the balance that you're looking for in life. Do you remember the tilt-a-whirl from the playground? Do they still have that even? Somebody broken collarbones, I don't know if... But it always fascinated me because you have this little circular little metal thing, and when you're standing on the perimeter of it, it throws you off. But if you stand right in the middle, you can keep your balance. And I think that's this notion of the Sabbath. When you end your journeys, when you come to where you truly are, you find your balance. You find the sacred mountain, which is actually within us. And then here's the third thing to think about this week, if you have some time. And that's what I would call the universal we. When we're given a small notion of who we are, when I think I'm a worker, when I think I'm an American, when I think I'm a Christian, I can only open my wings so far. How is it possible that people in this nation talked about freedom for centuries as they held and enslaved people? That tells you that the sense of identity was too small. How is it that so many men in the Christian church are terrified of women? Terrified of women having power. And they visit that out on gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender people. Think how much richer your life would be if your wings opened up to include your whole human family, with no scapegoats, no exceptions whatsoever. If you look around the world in different mystery religions and different mystic religions, they have what's sometimes called the supreme identity. I'm calling it the universal we. Emerson called it the oversoul. But it's the idea that your true identity is linked to everyone else. You're not just kind of standing on the side of things. We're all interconnected. And there's a sense in which we all die, but there's something deeper happening when we love one another. That seems to be so much more enduring. Has anybody here ever gotten married thinking they were just going to marry that one person? You know what I'm saying? That you wouldn't have to love their friends and family. Big mistake. To truly love another person, you have to open up and love the people that they love. And then together you can learn to love the people that are harder to love. And you find your home in the human family. You find your home in the web of life, in the circle of nature. If your life is not tuned to nature, if it's tuned just to the teachings of the church, there's a poverty in your life. And you go to church, you try to feel sacred, but then you go outside where it really is. It's happening. But it's also inside, right? It's our lives are woven together. The Sabbath was a new view of humankind. Neither male nor female, Jew nor Greek, slave nor free. You will not categorize people and take away their humanity. But let me just do, always have to do at least a moment of anti-capitalism, because it's killing us and we cannot solve any problem we have until eventually people realize that you can't base values on property rights and have a world you want to live in. The Sabbath was a new economic system. And that's why it talks about you won't work 7 days a week anymore, and you won't mistreat anyone. That it's a new idea that Jesus called the kingdom, which was a way of living life and sharing the world together in a way where every person can have dignity and hope. I think we need both Sabbaths. We need that goal of universal human rights, but we also need a place to go when we're discouraged, when we don't see the hope of that ever happening. And what our passage, I believe, reminds us is that when we stop on this feverish pitch to get somewhere else, we remember that the treasure's within us. When we stop in time, we realize that there's something enduring about love that is stronger in many ways than even death. And then finally, when we remember this kind of mystical stepping out of 7 days into the 8th day, which is your art, it's your imagination, you realize that that hope cannot be defeated because it's inside you. It's written inside you. You are connected to every being on the planet. The love that you exchange is magnificent and timeless in a way that our forms are not. So the last gift, I think, of the passage is to realize that no matter how lost you may feel, if you will simply get still and get silent and get present, you will realize that that Sabbath is already happening in your heart now. Well, that's my struggles with the passage. We'll take a few moments for you to reflect how you would understand it. Someday I'm not going to hit my head on that thing. You may not live long enough to see it, but someday. One of the things I think that can give us hope when we look at the world the way it is, and it seems so discouraging, is to realize that when you're part of a spiritual community, you're helping people in ways that you don't always even realize. Yesterday, our food pantry people gave out food for 719 people. You think about that you're part of that just being a part of this community and helping in even very small ways opens the door for that, the cold weather shelter, that kind of thing. 26 of the people were brand new. So this is a time when, we usually think about supporting the church, and that's very important. But I think the spiritual side of it is for you thinking about the gifts that are inside you that you would like to give the world. Maybe not necessarily St. Andrews, but the world. What is a way that your life can be a gift this week? So let's continue to worship with our gifts and offerings.
You gotta get the baskets to us.
I know that. The baskets, are these our baskets?
Yes, there should be 2 more, but the
Okay.
others may have.
Okay.
Oh,
We are drops of water.
as you're able.
For being here. I think in a nutshell, what I understood the passage to be saying, or this idea of a kind of mystical Sabbath, is that you don't have to go somewhere else to find the treasure, that you don't have to wait for something miraculous to happen. These are not stories of physical miracles. They're stories of altered states where people have a deeper sense of connection than maybe they had before. So as you go out into this week, when you look around you, you can't figure out how to have hope with things looking so bad. Sometimes just stopping and being where you are, going more deeply within yourself, and remembering what the ties that bind you with everyone else, that a lot of times you're carrying this hope with you in ways that you're not even aware. So again, thank you so much for sharing the morning with us. And Babs, can you take us home?
No, I can't take everybody home. Each of you is a child of that wonderful spirit of love that we sometimes call God. And that spirit knows when you skin your knee or your heart. That spirit knows when you admire a butterfly or cry in the darkness. So go out into this wonderful creation and tell the whole world that they are loved just exactly as they are. Go and kiss the hurts of this world. Go and laugh and play in the fields of grace and love. Go in peace. Amen.